7 police officers accused of beating up a protester at Tamar have been suspended from their duties, but they have yet to be arrested.
The chief executive urged people not to politicize the incident, insisting that it's an isolated case. ATV's Arthur Urquiola reports.
The victim of this beating caught on camera, Ken Tsang, has been undergoing medical treatment while he plans to sue the plainclothes police officers accused of assaulting him. Civic Party legislator Kwok Kak-hee said there were still concerns over possible damage to his internal organs and bone fractures. But once Tsang's condition stabilized, he would be happy to give a full account of his ordeal. Facing widespread outrage and a public relations nightmare, the police force has now suspended the officers involved.
It is confirmed that 7 police officers took action at scene and arrested the complainant. The 7 officers have now been interdicted from duty.
Police said they could not suspend the officers immediately yesterday because it took time to confirm their identities. They accused Tsang of taunting officers by throwing liquid at them and resisting arrest. He's been charged with assaulting and obstructing officers, as well as unlawful assembly. The force insisted the officers involved were not above the law.
If any individual officer is suspected of using excessive force, police will seriously investigate the case in a just and impartial manner.
Shows there's a differential.
Tsang's lawyer said the officers should have been arrested by now.
As I said, if this had been a bunch of protesters beating up a police officer who was hogtied like my client was, they would have been arrested immediately. There would have been no questions about there being a delay and is it reasonable for them to consider the evidence. It is on camera. It is patently clear what took place. And it is an affront to Hong Kong that they haven't been arrested up to this point.
Tsang's lawyers are now asking police for the names of the officers involved to take legal action against them. Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying today urged people not to politicize the incident, which she insisted was an isolated case and not an indictment of the entire force. Former Assistant Police Commissioner Tang Hao Kong on a radio show condemned the violence, but suggested that the officers had lost control under extreme pressure. He complained of a ridiculous situation since the Occupy protests began, with university law professors encouraging youngsters to break the law and legislators expecting police to take political sides. In a further fallout from the beating scandal that has tarnished the reputation of the police force, 10 Democrat district councillors have resigned from their posts in their constituencies' fight crime committees. They're protesting against the force for its failure to give a full account of the incident. Arthur Urquiola, ATV News.
The police used pepper spray again overnight as protesters tried to retake the main road next to the chief executive's office at Tamar.
They arrested 3 people after clashes that left 3 officers injured. ATV's Winner Wong reports.
The main road outside the chief executive's office was the battleground for a second straight night of clashes between protesters and police. Shortly before midnight, demonstrators swept up in a new wave of resentment against the government and police over the beating of activist Ken Tsang, spilled out onto Long War Road again, causing traffic chaos. After being pepper sprayed the previous night at the same spot, they played a cat-and-mouse game with officers, using a new flash mob-style strategy. They would step out onto the road and pretend to tie their shoelaces or pick up coins from the ground. Only to be chased back onto the pavement again. Occasionally, when the road was clear, a car would drive by honking its horn, to the delight of protesters. But police vehicles weren't so popular. And neither were officers. Shortly after 1 a.m., it became more serious when police arrested a 38-year-old man who stood on the road divider and kicked a bottle which hit a private car passing by. That led to a tense standoff as a large group of protesters objected to the arrest. repeated warnings for the demonstrators to back off, police resorted to using pepper spray again. They also arrested a 24-year-old man accused of assaulting them. When it was all over, protesters were left herded onto the pavement, while officers made sure they kept off the road.
I stress the protester willfully caused chaos by dashing onto the road, charged our officer, carrying out our duty. Their act of negating personal safety of themselves and also other people were extremely vicious and also irresponsible.
There was drama over at the Mongkok protest base as well, when about a dozen volunteers brought in bamboo poles to build a 10-meter tall scaffolding to hang banners on.
I looked at that there were illegal occupiers attempting to build a large scaffolding of several meters high last night. Obviously, they put the safety of life and property of residents in the district at stake. Police operation to remove obstacles will continue.
But the structure was later taken down when other protesters expressed concern that police would use it as an excuse to clear the area. Winna Wong, ATV News.